Hey Dynamo Nation, what's going on? My name is James. Thank you for joining me on this episode today. If you're new to the channel, new to Dynamo Nation, welcome. I appreciate you being here. If you're not subscribed, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel, helps me pump out more Dynasty content like this. We hit 500. Let's make that push to 1,000. I know we can do it, Dynamo Nation. Smash that subscribe button. Today's episode, we are talking about expansion teams. Adding expansion teams into your Dynasty League, should you do it? 100% the answer is yes. It's by far the best way to jumpstart a league, to kick some owners in the ass who have been dormant for a few years. Add those expansion teams and do it when you're going to make a big change. If you're a team defense league and you're moving to IDP, do it then. If you're a 1 QB league and you're going to move to a Superflex, do it then. This is the way to get the activity up, the trades up, the free agency up. This is a great way to jumpstart your dying leagues. Okay? I've got experience as a commissioner doing this. Shout out to Feather River, Orville, California. Me being a dude from Cleveland, I joined that league 11 years ago. They had an opening. They had an orphan team. I took it over. I've stayed. I'm the commissioner now. I've been the commissioner for about 7, 8 seasons. I love that league. That's my home league. So shout out to Feather River. But it was dying. It was dying. And it hurt me to say that because I love that league. I really do. I've got a lot of friends that I've made over the years in Feather River. We just lost one not too long ago to COVID. ProLogic. Shout out to ProLogic. He was a great owner in that league. But yeah, this became my community. These guys became close friends to me. We communicate through text and phone calls, stuff like that. But it became a real tight league. But for whatever reason, we just were starting to lose steam. People weren't engaged. They weren't committed to their teams. And I sat back and thought, we're going to lose this league. And I did not want that to happen. So I sat back, talked to the leadership in the league, and decided, you know what, we need to expand. We've got 10 teams, let's move to 12. And when we did that, I really wanted it to be a thought-out process. I did not want to bring a bunch of teams into the league that were going to get their asses beat for a couple of seasons because they had no chance to compete. Because I've seen expansions go terrible. Terrible for new teams. Where it's just like, we're going to take these guys' money, for the next few years because we're not going to support them. We're not going to do anything to give them a fighting chance. I don't do that in my leagues. As a commissioner, my leagues are about parity, okay, and about competitiveness, period. And that's how it should be. But with Feather River, what we did, we had 8 teams that were going to be kept in whole, okay? We had one team that was an orphan team that we could not find the right fit for. And we had another team that was orphaned the year prior that had a terrible roster. So we decided we're going to take both of those teams. We're going to add 2 new expansion teams. We're going to take all the players and the draft picks from the 2 teams that were orphaned, add them into a pool, okay? And then we added, obviously, picks 11 and 12 in the rookie draft. We have 7 rounds, so picks 11 and 12 for 7 rounds added to the draft pool. And then the 8 remaining teams could protect 10 players, okay? The exception to that was their taxi. Taxis could not be touched, and these are 40-man rosters. These are big league. But you could protect your 10 best players. Everybody else was fair game. What we did, though, is once a team lost 5 players, they were done. You could not lose more than 5 players to the expansion draft, which meant for the 8 teams, 8 times 5, 40 players were going to change hands between those 8 established teams and the 4 expansions. We're going to consider the 2 orphans as expansions. So between those 40 players, we drew numbers for the expansion teams. Okay? So we had our 4 players, drew their numbers. We did a snake reverse draft for them. And they went 10 rounds. They went round by round. Boom, 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 boom. Picking the players that were available from the already established teams. And then I reversed that draft order for the pool of players and picks that were set aside from the 2 orphans, and then obviously all the draft picks. And again, they went through that. Boom, 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 boom. And what we got from this is all 4 teams, we had 3 teams that were actually pretty decent. Okay? Right out of the gate. We had one team that was still, I think he was new to Dynasty, so his team was still kind of ass, I'm not going to lie. But that was more of his fault than anything else. He went for the vets. He treated it like it was a redraft league. He got off to a quick start, and then he absolutely flamed out. The other 3 teams had a really nice, solid foundation built up immediately to where taking over an expansion team, they did well in the draft, right? the expansion draft, the rookie draft, they handled their business and they ended up winning, 5, 6, 7 games that first year. That was pretty solid for an expansion. I've seen other expansions go to where the players are picking from the free agency pool when there's absolutely nothing left, right? Like, don't do that. If you do that, these teams are going to be absolute hot dog shit for, 10 years. You don't want to do that. And that's something else we did. In that league, we allowed free agency. We shut it down. You couldn't just go cherry pick. We gave those guys 2 days to go and pick up whoever they wanted in free agency. And this is the strategy that we employed in that league. But it took buy-in from everyone because you were going to lose players. You were going to lose good players. My team was the best team in the league at that time. This is the league I just won the championship in. And it's still probably the best team in the league. I was standing to lose the most. I lost a lot of good players in that draft. The 5 players I lost were good players. So I had to go through and fix my depth, but that was the right way to do it because in a 12-team league, you're going to lose your depth, right? You can't have these studs like it is with a 10-team league all across the board. It's just impossible. So doing it that way allow for these new teams to have a fighting chance. And what I noticed was the older teams in that league, the teams that are already established, they got a little juice to them. Having new blood in that league, having this new situation. Now we're instituting a first-round bye if you have the 2 best records in the league for the playoffs, right? So it gives an incentive to these already established teams like, hey, things have changed. I can't just sit back status quo and let this team coast. Things have changed. And that's the beauty of doing this, adding these expansion teams. And what I can say to you is on the flip side to this, taking over an expansion team, which I've done, okay? I've been part of it, and I've been part of terrible, terrible setups for expansions to where teams get to pick the 5 players that they want to make available. If I get to pick the 5 players I want to make available, who am I picking? I'm picking the bottom of the roster. The absolute bottom of the roster. One league expansion I took over the season after I did this in my home league. That's how it went. I got no draft picks. I had no draft picks made available to me in that upcoming rookie draft. Too many of the established teams were hell-bent on no draft picks. And they all got to pick the bottom 5 players on their roster to make available. That was how it went. And then I got to pick up free agents. Me and another team. And that's that expansion team I've been talking to you guys about. I took over. This is the second full season I just ended. And that league, it's funny. That league lit something in me. Like, they pissed me off immensely with how they handled that expansion draft. Pissed me off. I have made it a point to get that team right. A point. Like, to me, that league is personal. I'm to the point I finished 3rd this season. 3rd, the second full season with that setup that I just told you. No draft picks year 1. And I got to pick from the bottom 5 players off of each team. And I just finished 3rd with the young core that I have. That league is personal. And the moment that I win that league, and it's going to happen in the next season or 2, the amount of shit that I'm going to talk to everyone in that league is going to be immense. Immense. So I'm waiting for it. And this is what you get when you get to this expansion and you add these expansion teams. You're going to get somebody who comes in. If you get somebody who wants to take over an expansion, there's a really good chance they know what they're doing, 1. Okay? And 2, their activity level is going to be crazy. Because that's what you need to have you need that type of player to come in to take over an expansion. If you don't find that right fit, there's not a whole lot you can do. So this is it, man. This is the strategy for me if you're going to institute an expansion this offseason. If you're even tossing around the idea of moving to Superflex or moving to IDP, do it all at once. That expansion team I took over, they went to IDP that season. So after the expansion draft was over, there was a full IDP draft. And me being savvy, what I did is I flipped every IDP pick I had for the first 10 rounds for future rookie draft picks. And I'm getting multiple firsts, seconds, third, fourths, fifths spread out. And that helped me get my rebuild going. So if you're going to do this, thinking about doing expansion, also consider moving to IDP, moving to Superflex, do it all at once. It will completely revamp your league, especially if your league is on life support, it's dying. I mean, this is a great way to do it. I promise you. Like, I've had more fun taking over that expansion and more fun watching the teams in my league who were expansion teams develop than it probably at any point in my Dynasty career. And my first team in Dynasty dates back to 2008. And I didn't start, no team defense, 2008, full IDP, 40-man rosters. That was my start for this. So by far from 2008 to 2021, these last few years have been the most rewarding for me. Being a part of an expansion and then watching it happen in my league. So that's the video, Dynamo Nation. If you're thinking about doing it, you got my stamp of approval. I would do it. If you guys need any help getting it set up, you know what to do. Drop a comment down below. Send me an email. I'll walk you through whatever I can. So, all right, that's going to be it. That's the video. If you like this type of content, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time.